What's up, everybody? At Indian of Oklahoma City once again, and today is going to be a used bike review. Now, it's a bike review that a lot of people have been asking me to do, but unfortunately our local dealer that sells these particular motorcycles and I don't get along as well as we should. But at any rate, here we go. The Triumph Street Cup, the cafe variant of the Street Twin. So this is the 900cc parallel twin liquid cooled engine. Fantastic looking machine, actually. Very good looking stance. Of course, it's got the seat cowling, so it does have the passenger seat under there. You just have to pull that off, and then it has the pegs and everything ready to go. So it's a great looking machine here, definitely for sure. I love the way it looked, love the way it's been the whole time. Just haven't had a chance to throw a leg over it for a ride just yet. Alright, so when you climb up on it, you do have your adjustable brake and clutch. We've already got that done for it. Now on this one, you do have the start switch all the way down now on your kill switch. Hazards takes the place of the standard or stereotypical start button. Horn, turn signals, push to cancel, information on the screen, as you can see. We'll pop that on. Of course, you have your two analog gauges. You have traction control that popped up there. You have your service engine light, oil, ABS, neutral, temperature, and of course you have your fuel indication, how many miles you got on it, odometer, what your gear indication is right now. There's trip 1, trip 2, instant MPG, overall MPG, and clock. And of course you have your traction controls. You'll hold that to change it if you want to. So I'm just not going to leave any, or I'm not going to change anything. We'll leave it on the stocks here. Let's get this thing started here. Alrighty, so this bike is equipped with the ABS and the bar end mirrors, all that fun stuff. Now this does sit more like a traditional cafe racer, so you're tucked in. Very narrow bike too, very light. Take it through here real quick. Not the typical type way you're going to exit these places, but alrighty. So first impression of the Triumph Street Cup here is that it is a very narrow machine. Definitely cross section is not very big at all, so it feels a little bit weird. I'm used to a bit wider bikes right now. You know, the Moto Guzzi MGX 21 and the Honda are much wider than this machine, and of course they set you up as well versus on your wrists, but this isn't too aggressive. The engine is nice and smooth as well. Let's see if I can get that where I can see a little bit. There we go. Now, mirror placement is actually very good. I do see my shoulder in this one, and my elbow, I should say, but I can still see the other lane behind me just fine. That one is very, very visible. There's no elbow or anything back there at all. So at any rate, when you're on this machine, your seating position is not a full-on sport bike as you would think of today. It is aggressive, and it does have you down on your wrists. But it's not too bad. You will see that I am straight down to the control right here onto my wrist, and then you can see that the legs come back and the feet are back tucked under in line with my shoulders, and I am bent forward a little bit so their feet aren't on a full rear set position. Now
what I'm doing right now, of course, is taking it around through town here just to kind of feel it out, because this is one of those bikes that, in my opinion, because of the seating position, will be great for around town, bouncing around, doing some bar hopping, doing some restaurant hopping, whatever you guys do for fun. And because of how light it is and how narrow it is and just how flickable it is as well, it's easy to take through the town. Does have great power coming out onto the interstate as well. The little 900 is beating around just fine. I like it. Has a good feel for it. Now this is only a 5-speed transmission as well, so it's not a 6-speed, it is a traditional 5. And I don't mind it, it uses the power very well. It uses the gearing very well, I should say. Now out here on the interstate, we are doing highway speeds of around 70 miles an hour, and let me get up there fully here. And we're pulling around 3,500 RPM. So that's actually surprisingly not too bad for a smaller engine. This one will redline at 7,000. And here's what I'm surprised about right now. With a bike this light, this narrow, with this thin a wheel, I'm here in winds that are roughly 25 miles an hour today or so. Around this semi even that's right here. And I'm not really getting blown around or buffeted. I'm actually impressed by that. Very stable platform. And this bike is so much smoother than the old 900 engine. Now, I had a Triumph America LT with the 863, as it was called, 900 at the time, and that bike, you could tell it was, you know, character. It had a little bit of vibration, and this one here, yeah, I could feel a little bit of buzzing through the handlebars. I could feel a little bit in the feet, but nowhere near as much as that America. And the mirrors are completely clear as well. They're not vibrating that much at all. There's not much transferred over. So it's actually a very smooth machine. Now in top gear, when you rip it, it doesn't really have much pull away power. So for passing operation, you will drop to 4th gear, give her some beans, and she'll get going for you. But top gear rollout, not so bad. Everyone's a speeder today. But it just feels so good to ride. I really like this right now. Like I said, it's not so aggressive that you got too much weight on your wrist and stuff. Of course, with the wind, I'm being blown back off of my wrist right now. It's helping out quite a bit in rider comfort. And the suspension on this bike is really good as well. I'm noting that it takes these bumps and this broken concrete. I know you can't really see it, but this is that bouncing concrete, and it does it very, very well. just a smooth riding machine, and it does get a little bit slower on you. Like I said, with the wind today, you can't pace it by wind noise, and if you're not used to the bike, you're not used to the wind noise. Yeah, look at that flag out there. It just tells you how much wind I'm dealing with right now. Yeah, it's just handling it so well, though. I'm impressed by the amount of wind punishment this thing can take, and it's so flickable and so light. You expect these kind of bikes to not be able to withstand highway speeds with winds like this, with vehicles like the RV in front of me or the truck in front of me. You expect turbulence to be a real bother for you, and to be honest, it's not really being a mess today at all. It's a great handling machine. Good power, gets on the interstate, does very well. Like I said, I don't expect this to last very long. I expect this to be about an hour and a half in the maximum in the saddle before the narrowness and the lack of room for somebody my height, and I'll say my height is 6 foot-ish tall. I'm a little bit taller than 6 foot, 32-inch inseam. I do have the large size 14 feet in US sizing, so they're huge feet, 4E width. So having a pedal box and stuff like that that's a little bit narrow, you can kind of look down there. I have to keep my foot tucked in kind of interestingly. It's right now under the brake pedal and down, so that way it stays away from things, or I have to kick them out, so that way if I need to cover the controls, it's got to be kicked out. There's not much room for my large foot down there, but that's no big deal for most of y'all out there. Excuse me. But it rides very well. Like I said, suspension is just fantastic. You can go over this broken stuff right here, and there you go. Now you can see a little bit more shake probably if the camera's not getting it all taken care of. But yeah, it just does very, very, very well. And turning is great. And now we'll do some braking here. Oh yeah. She also brakes very good as well. Now, transmission is very positive feeling. You can feel that transmission very nicely. It is very clean shifting too, down and up. Our clutch is cable actuated on this motorcycle. Like I said, you do have that adjustable hand lever. And whenever you come out, you can see right there's your friction zone, about an inch off the grip. So not quite to the halfway travel point for this machine. Back on the interstate here. Give her some good beans here. Hit rev limiter there, about 70 miles an hour in second gear. But gets up to speed quite adequately for a 900. Does a very good job. Around 54 horsepower, I believe this bike makes. Get tucked in a little bit. It helps you get out of that wind. Or spins your arms. It's still stable. I'm still impressed. Usually you get some, you can kind of see it got moved there a moment for that wind to the side there. You usually get some side draft and stuff from other vehicles, and so far we're very stable on this machine. I have to try to get to the other side of a semi to practice that little wind blast maneuver. Now the way the weight feels on these front forks is I believe that it is a little heavy on the front end to me. I know some people report that it's a light front end, but to me it's a little bit heavier. Feels heavily sprung. Turning though, like I said, it is very easy to do. very responsive front end, but it just feels like there's a little weight on there, so when you get in a little bit low, you're going to feel it. You're going to have to press a little harder to keep her in the turn. That didn't even bug me off my seat, so I really like this suspension on this bike. And I'm still not really being moved around. You know, we took away the wall and stuff in the middle there when we're going westbound. We're going eastbound now. Barely have anything on this side in some cases, and I'm still not getting pushed around very much at all. I'm very surprised by that. Like my little Rebel would get pushed around a lot in the wind. You had to compensate quite a bit. This one's just so stable. Doesn't seem to mind it. There's all that open air right there, and like I said, not really moving as much as you think you will. You also look around at the fit and finish of this motorcycle, and it's actually very well put together. Looking down, you don't see anything unsightly or anything that indicates that it's falling apart or anything like that. Very well put together. Everything's pretty tight on it. It's a good riding machine. Well put together machine. Everything's really well done here. I don't have any complaints at all. Heat coming out of the engine right now. Today it's 86 degrees at this time. We're working with 72% humidity, somewhere in there. So it's going to be a little soupy today, so the engine's got to work against that. And at this time, I don't feel any bad heat or anything like that coming off this engine. The way, of course, the exhaust is routed, it comes out and then back down on both sides. And then your engine head's right here just below my knee. So I don't feel any heat on any of my legs or anything right now. I feel a little bit on the left side near my ankle, kind of blowing off from the bottom end of the engine. And that's all the heat I feel that's, you know, not from just, you know, the today's heat or the pavement. It's just a little bit of bike heat, but it's not bad at all. That's just a lovely riding machine. I like this new engine setup for them, and I know it's been out a couple of years, but this is the first time I've gotten a chance to ride one. This is so much better than that America LT I had when it came down to the engine power. Wish the America had this engine. But this is just perfect motorcycling. And like I said, yes, it does have traction control. Yes, it does have electronic nannies and stuff like that. But for the most part, you don't really notice. This is pretty much a nice, pure motorcycle, except for those little nuances in the background. And if you don't ride it like a hooligan, they're probably not going to get in your way either. Just riding nice. Alrighty. Once again, we're going to tap that compression braking here. Get over here. And here we go for those regular brakes, and they do have sufficient bite. Very good. Everything works great. Like I said, handling on this machine is actually very nice. Like I said, it does feel a little heavy in the front end for me. but she handles it well. Alrighty. Like I said, you get up in these areas where we had this broken pavement and the bouncy concrete and all that fun stuff. The suspension's been very wonderful. The brakes are adequate. They don't like overbite or anything like that. They just get on there and they clamp down very good. Front and rear brake, both very responsive. Engine braking great. Ergonomics are fantastic. When it comes to like controls and everything. Now I will say I'm a little bit cramped because of my size, probably because of my weight. But to be honest, I mean, everything looks great. The mirror positioning is good. You can see very, very nice back. You don't have to strain or anything like that. I just like to look back the way I do because that's just how I am. Overall, this is a fantastic middleweight motorcycle to go playing around town with, and like I said, about an hour, hour and a half, maybe for comfort. I can tell you right now the right wrist is getting a little tired, but I'm not used to this position. It's been a while since I've rode on a bike like this. Yeah, it just comes down to a halt nice and clean, and very calm motorcycle, sitting still with no wind blowing anything. There's really no heat rising up from the engine either. So if you're sitting around in town and have to deal with the traffic, then you're going to know that it's not going to burn you to death sitting still either. Transmission's really smooth. Everything's great on this machine. This is a fantastic motorcycle. So if you're looking for a great in-town ride to go playing around with, bouncing around town, doing stuff like this, going downtown, going through and doing the riding we did there a moment ago with the internal interstates, this is a great bike for that. Works very, very well. Super well balanced, easy to ride. Good on gas mileage. I mean, it's just a fantastic overall motorcycle with a little bit of character that goes a little bit of ways. So at any rate, this is the Rabid Hedgehog. This is at Indian of Oklahoma City. Located at 7 Northeast 10th Street. At any rate, you keep that shiny side up, and we'll catch you on the next review.